So I'll just get started. I do have I'm using Google Earth. It flies around. I practice this a little bit. I hope it doesn't make anybody dizzy. There's a little bit of swishing around, but it'll be fun. So I'll share my screen now. I think I'm sharing. Yes. Okay. So at Lake Berryessa, I'll give you a little bit of a background of Lake Berryessa. It's here in, I'll show you the borders. The area that we're in, most of you are probably pretty aware of where it is. Winters is just down to the east, and then we have Napa over here, and we have Vacaville down south. So this is the approximate area, and then the roads on. These are the roads that will take you to Berryessa. 128. From Winters it's 128, and then you can get there through Napa and then also through St. Helena, Calistoga area. Anyways, so Lake Berryessa was authorized as the Solano project in 1948. It was for flood control and supplying water for irrigation and municipal industrial uses. And the construction started on Poudre Creek in 1957. It took until about 1959 for it to be completed. They began filling it up. The total storage when it's full is 1.6 million acre feet of water. It's 19,250 acres of surface water when it's full, which it almost is. And the whole lake itself is approximately 23 miles long and 3 miles wide at its widest area. It has 29,000 acres of federal owned or managed land around it. And that's not all just the Bureau of Reclamation. That's also BLM and other federal land. It's also surrounded by state and county land as well. That's all managed in there. That's pieced up in all sorts of places. So some of these trails are state, but and I'm going to talk about them all. But we do have quite a bit that the Bureau of Reclamation manages. So we'll start. Lake Berryessa is here. It has the glory hole. The last time it had an overflow was in 2018. And we are very close to it overflowing again. We're about 10 feet down from it. And I have the statistics here for it. Since November, it has rained 41.86 inches of rain, and which is a lot in just a few months, and which made the water level go up about nearly 50 feet. But like I said, it still has about 10 feet to go. They are keeping it at a pretty steady level. They're releasing a lot of the water out Lake Solano, down into the Lake Solano area. So it's staying at the 430 water level elevation mark. Once it gets to 440 is when the glory hole will overflow. So before it was built and the reservoir was created, you'd be looking down in Berryessa Valley, and it was a farming community, and the town of Monticello was there. And it was full of alfalfa and grazing cattle, and that all came to an end in 1957. And so today we have the reservoir there that supplies the water to Solano County. So the lake is in Napa County, but the water goes to Solano County mostly, more or less. We'll start with so the water goes down to Lake Solano area, like I said, This is a concessions area that it's from the Bureau of Reclamation. They run it for us. They do a really great job. It's a beautiful area. They're about to start a rehabilitation project that's going to replant a lot of the areas that were burned in the LNU fire. And it's really exciting project that we've been working on for a while. So you'll see some trees being planted and some structures being built there. So this is just showing the Lake Solano area. Then once you go up the trail a little bit, there are some areas that are the Stebbin Cold Canyon, Blue Ridge Trailhead, which goes to the homestead. That's about a 4.5 mile loop. And the Stebbins. And then there's also the Blue Ridge Trailhead and a couple of other really nice trails there. They're not ran by us. They're all part of the Blue Ridge Conservation, or the Stebbins Cold Canyon Natural Reserve. So those trails are maintained by the Stebbins Cold Canyon group. It's not us. And let's see, this is going to show the Homestead Trailhead. So this is a really very busy area. You'll see a lot of cars. They've made two little kind of pullouts for parking lots, and that are usually pretty full on the weekends for sure, but also during the week as well. We see a lot of both. So UC Davis does a lot of research in Stebbins Cold Canyon area, but there are plenty of areas for hiking and walking your dog and that sort of thing in there. So once we leave that area, we'll go over to the Monticello Dam. I gave you some facts about the Monticello Dam. And the Glory Hole is right here. You can see it in this area. And as you go down the 128 road, you'll see the Markley pullout. In the big picture of it all, they had planned on developing a lot of these trails. They're very popular, especially for people that are go to Markley Cove. You can launch your boat and then come over here, and there's a lot of areas to meet your family on the shore and have a lot of parties and picnics and all sorts of things. And so this is the Markley Cove Resort. They are concessions that run this area for the Bureau of Reclamation as a partnership. They have a lot of really great fish tournaments and activities there. And over the canyon a little bit is the Pleasure Cove Resort. And they are also a concessions. I know I said I was talking about trails, but the concession areas have their own thing going on. And then over a little bit more is Still Canyon. They're a concessions area for us too. And I can zoom out a little bit to show you where we're at on this. On the road here, coming down this 128. There's the one-way road here for Pleasure Cove, and then you keep coming around on this, and there's the corner with the abandoned gas station that hopefully someday we'll have another gas station there. Would be really nice. And then we have the Spanish Flat Resort area. A lot of these areas were burned in the LNU fire, and then also in the 2018 one as well. But Spanish Flat is recovering. They have a lot of great camping areas and boating and places to spend with your family. So once you go past Spanish Flat area, Then you'll come to the Capel boat launch. So the Capel boat launch is the only public boat launch place that, and we keep our fee at $10. It used to be free for a long time, but we had to start charging. And so it's $10 compared to $30 and $40 and $50 at the other places. So we do want to try to keep some affordable options open. The Capel boat launch was closed the last 2 years pretty early, but this year we're not going to have to close it early because we have plenty of water. And so there isn't going to be any boats getting stuck while launching or getting their boats out. So once you pass the Capel boat launch, then you come to it's the Duffer Point Visitor Center. This is also the administration buildings and where I work. And we also have a police station in there. And so this is I'll show you the visitor center. And then a view of the lake. This is a popular fishing area. A lot of people like to come and park in our parking lot and go down into this little area where there's a lot of really great fishing. It's a little bit steep sometimes, but it's a good area. At the visitor center, we have a trail, a small trail that will take you over to the Oak Shores day use area. And we also have some interpretive trails around the visitor center and some benches and some nice things. It's had better days. We're hoping to be able to kind of update that and get it looking better. We do have a ton of wildflowers growing around that area right now too. So we've been really lucky this year to have that. So then once you pass the visitor center, and this is Knoxville Road now that you're on, and then the closest one coming up, well, I don't know where we're going, is Oak Shores. So did not do this in my practice run. Oak Shores day use area is our very most popular area that you will reach once you get it while traveling on Knoxville Road. You come in, when you come in, you can either go to the south end of Oak Shores, or you could go up to the north end of Oak Shores. Since the water was so low, we didn't really have the north end open. We also didn't have enough personnel to take care of everything that needed to be taken care of. So we mostly just had the south end open. Right now we have both because it's getting very, very popular now with the water rising. And then we've been frantically getting ready for the Memorial Day weekend, but it did not stop raining for so long. It was really hard to get prepared. Wow, I don't know where it's taken me. Sorry about that. So Oak Shores day use areas here. There is a trail at the end of the north end that starts at Coyote Beach. So if you go into the north part of Oak Shores day use area, come and go to the very end of it, and there is a trailhead here in Coyote Beach. Now this trail will take you over to Smiddle Creek Trail, and it's a nice little trail. It has a lot of nice little bridges, and it was a great trail until the LNU fire came through and burned it. We are in the process of nearly getting all the bridges replaced. We're going to have a helicopter that's going to come down and set the bridges down. It's going to be very exciting. If you take this trail right now, it's pretty rough. There's a lot going on in there. I found an old Model T truck that crashed in there at some time, and this last fire uncovered it and made it visible now. So because of the fire, there's a lot of things to see that weren't there before, cleared out a lot of brush, and it's beautiful. I wasn't able to mark the trail on this map, regrettably, but maybe someday in the future I'll be better at creating these maps, or I'll have a millennial around. So once you take this trail over, you'll end at Smiddle Creek. And this is our other day use area. It's beautiful. It's a little bit more steeper of an area. It's still great for families. A lot of people like to launch their paddle boards or small canoes from here as well. And then as you can see, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies and places to go that you can just play in the water and have your family in there. I really enjoy this area. There's plenty of trails all in there. We've cleaned up a lot of them. There's still some damaged trails from the fire, but we've done a lot of work in there. Still more to go. So in the Smiddle Creek Trail, we are working with the Federal Highway System, Napa County Open Space, and the state of California. It's a coalition that have put together a bunch of funds, and we are going to, so the trailhead will be here at Smiddle Creek, and it'll connect up into the Cedar Roughs area here, and possibly an equestrian trail, but maybe not. It would be really nice to have that, but it's still in the scoping stage of planning. And so we're not sure exactly what's going to happen there. But like I said, it's BLM and the state of California, Napa County Open Space, a lot of things going on. So that is set to begin. They'll start working on that in 2027. So and this will connect the other trails in the Cedar Roughs area. That's all back in here. That I'm not sure where. I have heard that there's a trailhead somewhere in here. I have not seen it myself yet. So once you go down past Smiddle Creek, you'll pass a lot of private property. There's Berryessa Pines and some residential areas and people that get to live there all the time, right on the water. And it seems like a really great place to be. So once you get there, you'll get to the parking lot. This Hope Creek parking lot. There's a lot of people there that park to walk down to go fishing around the lake. And this here is the rock that you'll see a lot of teenagers jumping off of. I'm sure it has a local name. I don't know what it is. And then this bridge is one that has a lot of messages from local kids that I like to read them all too. And when the water is really high, sometimes we see kids jumping off of them too. So better to stick with the trails than jump off the bridges, I think. So right now, the Bureau of Reclamation is working with Tuolumne. We are working on improving the Pope Creek Trail. There is a trailhead here in this parking lot. The red area is the undeveloped trail that we'll be working on. We're set to start construction and working on that trail next spring, maybe early, in January, February even. So we're projected to start working on that pretty soon. We've been working on the grant and all the things for several years now, and it's finally getting to the part that we get to create this. It'll have benches, it'll have some shade shelter and some really cool areas to rest or to walk around. This yellow part is an old mining road that was there. There are a lot of really cool things to see in there. If you peek over the edge, it's very rough. We don't maintain it. We do some classroom work in there, working with the college in England, and they come and do some some different activities on helping the college students learn field techniques and that sort of thing. And so because it's not really used that much, it's a great trail if you don't want to have a lot of crowds around you. But I suspect that once we get the trail completed, it's going to be a pretty popular trail. So this trail will be, let's see, right in my notes. So it'll be 2.8 miles one way. And then there is a trail point up. Oh, it goes a little ways. And then there's a trailhead up here. So you can start at the top once you go up this Pope Creek Road, and then you can go this way. There is an old mining road. It's really nice to walk. There are some trees that are down in the trail right now, but it's a nice, easy trail. You can't make it all the way through without some pretty steep areas. So if you want to just go down and turn around one, this Pope Creek Trailhead area is there. It is there right now. It just isn't formal with signs and all the things that will be there very soon. So once we go past the Pope Creek, and once this trail is completed, it will have this little loop. It'll have like a little side loop going, and it'll take you to the edge of Puda Canyon Campground. Now, this is a concession area as well. They have camping, and so the trail stops there, and we'll be working with them on how to keep the trail system going through so that it can, it's consecutive. So once you get through Puda Canyon Campground, then concessions, let's see. Then you have the North End Trail, which we just worked with Tuolumne to complete it. We had our big grand opening of the trail. I think it was the week that COVID started. And so it kind of got shut down pretty quickly. Did not get to celebrate all the work that went into creating this North End Trail. So the North End Trail is about 11 miles. It has 9 trailheads along it. So you could do the whole thing at once. I wasn't able to mark them all. It basically goes along the shoreline, but also loops back up to the road. So you don't actually have to do all 11 miles. You can just do a couple of the loops at a time. And we've been very lucky to have community members volunteer to help us maintain this trail. And we have Jim Gamble and his family and some of his employees come through. They did this whole entire trail in a few days. It was amazing. So most of it is cleaned up. There were a lot of trees down from the fire, but there's some really nice areas that you can loop through. There's eagle's nest in there. There's a lot of, birds of prey all in there, and a lot of other animals. Some pretty open areas so it's a little bit of a hot trail, but then there are some shaded areas as well too. So with all those options, the 9 trailhead options, it's a really great area to go. So you keep continuing down Knoxville Road, and you will come to, let's see. We will come to, it just passed the end of the North Trail. So this is the last of the 9 stops on the North End Trail. This is probably one of my favorite areas. Then you drive down Knoxville Road a little bit more, you'll come to Edakira. That's our day use area here. This has a big parking lot. It also has a restroom there. It's mostly a lot of fishermen will come out here in the mornings. It's mostly busy first thing in the morning. And a lot of people like to come and watch birds out here as well and have picnics. There's not a lot of people here, but there is a riparian area. You'll see a lot of marsh birds and animals out this way. So just past this Edakira day use area, we have this road is the East Side Road. So when Lake Berryessa was developed, it was a town down there, Monticello town, and the government negotiated with the families that were all down there, the ranchers, and gave them land all up here above this East Side Road. And so they have different paddocks, they have ranching and a lot of different activities. So this road is a public road, but it's also shared with the ranchers here. It's a one-way dead end road. And because of all of the water that we had this last spring, it's in bad repair. We're working on getting that repaired. Hopefully in this next month, we'll be repairing a lot of that. So it is possible to go on this road. The ranchers do keep track of who's down there because it is their homes that are right there connected to the road. And but it is available to go there if you have the car and maybe a Jeep or whatever, and want to go see that side of the lake. It's beautiful. The signs do kind of discourage people from going, but it is a legal road. And in this area, we also do have feral pig hunts there. It's ran through a partnership through through the Fish and Wildlife, and they give the permits out, and then we help monitor it. And there is a feral pig problem in this area, so if you do go there, be aware of what you may come around the wild pigs. And once you go up, if you keep going up this past Lake Berryessa, of course, and keep going on Knoxville Road, some of the most popular trails are the Berryessa Peak. This trailhead is just up Knoxville Road. It'll take you up onto the east side up here, and then you have a nice view down. I believe it's a 9-mile hike. I've had coworkers do it. There were 25-year-old kids that ran up it with no problem. It would probably take me a little bit more time than that, but it is a beautiful hike. And then the other one that's very popular in this area is the Zim Zim Falls trail. And that one, I have some notes here. The Zim Zim Falls is not ran by us. I believe it's I can't remember who it is. It's not by us though. I think it's a state land area. It's very popular. There's a lot of bear scat, so the bears are around. Probably some cougars, and of course snakes and that sort of thing. So and then if you keep going on this road, you'll end up at Knoxville campground area. That's beautiful, and also the Snow Mountain land conservation area as well. And then if you keep going, I believe you'll end up at Clear Lake too. I haven't gotten that lost yet. Anyway, so these are the trails that we have. Hopefully they've all been marked. So I took you around our lake. So started down at Puda Creek, at Lake Solano, and then following the road to the dam, and then come around, and there's plenty of places to stop. And then as you just keep going, there's you'll find us eventually at the visitor center. The other great thing about stopping in there is clean bathrooms too. So So that's a good place to stop. So I just want to talk a little bit about the habitat that you would find when you're at Lake Berryessa. There are a lot of blue oaks there in the area. The blue oaks thrive in the hot, dry sun, so they're able to handle the climate. And so you'll see all of these blue oaks. A lot of trees have fallen down, and it's messy. And then plus there's a lot of trees in the waterways and kind of swampy areas. And maybe you wonder why we don't clean all of that up. But those trees offer a habitat for they'll offer habitat for fish if it's in the water, some shade, you know, in the sun, and some spawning areas for the fish. You'll find like bass and crappie and bluegill there. And then besides the blue oak, you'll find the manzanita trees or trees. And those are really cool because their leaves rotate to stay out of the direct sunlight. So as the day goes, they'll just keep moving away so they don't get scorched in the sun. And they're also a really nice, beautiful red bark that is really pretty. You'll also see a lot of lichen. A lot of people, it's the greenish gray stuff that's hanging off of the trees. I've noticed that the most it's at Smiddle Creek. That stuff is not Spanish moss. A lot of visitors will say it's Spanish moss. It's not. It's fishnet or lace lichen. And it isn't a single organism. It is mutually beneficial has a mutually beneficial relationship. So it's a fungus and an algae, and the fungus provides the structure for the algae to grow on, and the algae provides the photosynthesis that feeds the fungus and the algae together. So it kind of works together, and it's very beautiful. And it does look like moss, but it's not. And then you'll also see, so you'll notice on the hillside there, on the north side, where it stays shady, you'll see that it has a lot more vegetation and growth on the north slope, and that's because it gets less sunlight, and it doesn't dry out, and the water doesn't evaporate, so more vegetation is able to grow. But in contrast, on the south side, it receives intense heat. It can get very, very warm up there, and especially in the summer. And so there's drier conditions, and so there's less vegetation. So you'll get different views. You'll be in full vegetation, and then some very sparse areas when you're at the lake in these areas. So another thing that you might see while you're on the trails is the gray pine. The gray pine are really cool. You will see little holes in their trunks. And that is from the acorn woodpecker. The acorn woodpecker will peck holes into the gray pine trunk and place they basically turn them into granaries. So they put in acorns, and it's really cool how they do it. They'll make the holes just big enough exactly for the acorn that they have. And then they just keep coming in. As the acorn shrinks, they will move it into a smaller hole and then put one that fits that. So it's just the right size so that their food can't be stolen. But they form these granaries, and it stores food for the winter for them. And the acorn woodpeckers are these black and white birds, and they have red heads, like woody woodpecker. They're all over the place. Another thing that you'll see is a lot of buckhorn or buckeye trees. So the California buckeye looks dead. It looks like we have a lot of dead trees around the lake. They're not dead. They lose all of their leaves in the summer. So they do. By July, they don't have any leaves, and it's a way for them to cope with being in the long, hot, dry summer. They just kind of shut down. But right now, it's almost over, but They do have a brief period in the spring that they will have clusters of white flowers. They're very beautiful. And then, so these trees that I keep thinking are dead are actually very alive and beautiful in the early spring and into about now. It's starting to get very hot up there. The buckeye, I guess they're named from their, let's see, their seed pods are long, pear-shaped, but when you split them open, they look like the eye of a deer. So that's why they're called the buckeye trees. I thought that was good. You'll also find a lot of snakes up there. There's a lot of rattlesnakes, and of course, they're the most easy to tell. They have the diamond-shaped head and the rattle, but we do also have a lot of gopher snakes as well that don't have that. And we try not to, this is their habitat. We encourage them to be there, try to keep the public away in the day use areas. It can be pretty scary for families to see the snakes, but this is their habitat. So we remove them when they are too close to families, but they do keep the rodents and the mice and the squirrels and the different animals. They keep those numbers down and just kind of maintain a good circle of life there. And they help keep the balance of nature there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then we also have a migratory birds that will come. This is a winter spot for the birds. We have ducks and geese and even white pelicans that are really cool to see. They're giant. But of course, we also have the Canada goose that's there all year round. It's not the Canadian goose, it's the Canada goose because it was named after Mr. Michael Canada, who was a birder, a very popular birder at one time. So he got a goose named after him. So the Canada goose, they're there. We like them around. They're noisy and messy, but they're great. We have a lot of birds and animals around because we don't have hunting is not allowed, with the exception of the feral pig hunts, which we just started that, and by request of the Fish and Wildlife Warden. The numbers are just getting too big, so we're working with them to try and get those numbers down. But besides that, there is no hunting around Lake Berryessa. And then, of course, we have the birds of prey. One of my favorite parts of my job is counting eagle's nest. We have plenty around. Last I checked, that I could find were 12 eagle nests. Now that's bald eagle and the golden eagle as well. And then we have a lot of big nests that are also osprey. The osprey, they are very healthy around our lake as well. When they have their wings expanded, their wings can be 5 to 6 feet, a wingspan of 5 to 6 feet. And then eagles can have a wingspan of about 8 feet. So they're wonderful to see flying around. And of course, we have the turkey vultures that are everywhere. And so it's exciting to see them. They have an important part of the habitat as well. And then I've seen a lot of hawks, red-tailed hawks, and all sorts of hawks. A lot of birders will come and tell me about the different nests that they have found. And it's a very active area. And that is about all I have to say about the habitat and the trails around this area that I've been able to find.
Well, thank you so much. That was really awesome.